Are we on the brink of a radical solution to climate change, or a catastrophic mistake? The idea of blocking out the sun to cool the planet is no longer just science fiction. It's a fiercely debated reality. For decades, geoengineering, the concept of artificially lowering global temperatures through technology, has been dismissed as a fringe idea, ridiculed by critics and championed by only a handful of scientists. But the tide is shifting, and the conversation is getting louder. This September, a study published in Frontiers in Science warned that geoengineering, particularly spraying reflective aerosols into the atmosphere, could have unpredictable and dangerous consequences, such as altering weather patterns and causing wintertime warming in regions like northern Eurasia. Yet, as climate predictions grow more dire, even skeptics are starting to reconsider. But here's where it gets controversial. Over 120 scientists have now called for urgent research into geoengineering, arguing that traditional mitigation efforts alone won't be enough to combat climate change. Science fiction has long explored the potential pitfalls of such interventions. In Bong Joon-ho's Snowpiercer, a failed geoengineering experiment plunges the planet into an uninhabitable ice age, while Kim Stanley Robinson's The Ministry for the Future imagines a world where India unilaterally deploys geoengineering after a devastating heat wave. Robinson's cautionary tale isn't about the technology itself, but the risk of deploying it hastily, without fully understanding its consequences. And this is the part most people miss. Geoengineering isn't just about blocking the sun, it encompasses a range of ideas, from brightening marine clouds to removing carbon from the atmosphere, some of which are already widely accepted as necessary tools. The most contentious approach, solar radiation management, SRM, involves reflecting sunlight back into space using aerosols. Once dismissed as a fringe idea, SRM is now gaining traction, backed by billionaires like Peter Thiel and Elon Musk. In 2022, a Silicon Valley-funded company, Make Sunsets, even conducted a rogue experiment in Baja California. Meanwhile, activists on the left, who once criticized geoengineering as a capitalist band-aid, are now divided, with some arguing it's a way to reverse the climate damage caused by industrial greed. Even U.S. government labs are exploring the idea of injecting sulfur dioxide into the Arctic atmosphere, while startups like Stardust Solutions are raising millions to commercialize SRM technology. But here's the catch. While scientific and business leaders are warming to the idea, political opposition in the U.S. is growing. On the left, some argue that geoengineering is a dangerous distraction from the real solution, cutting emissions. On the right, conspiracy theories about government manipulation of the atmosphere are fueling resistance. For instance, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. recently fueled the chemtrails conspiracy, claiming the U.S. military might be behind alleged chemical spraying. Meanwhile, politicians like Marjorie Taylor Greene have conflated geoengineering with weather modification, stoking public fear. More than 24 U.S. states have introduced legislation to block geoengineering, with Tennessee and Florida already passing laws. Globally, the picture is different. Developing countries like Ghana, Malaysia, and Mexico are actively researching SRM, determined to shape their own climate future. China, too, is quietly exploring geoengineering, and if history is any guide, once Beijing commits, results will follow. This raises a critical question. Are we repeating the mistakes of the past? In the early 2000s, climate activists opposed funding for adaptation measures, like sea walls, arguing they would undermine efforts to cut emissions. 2 decades later, emissions are still rising, and adaptation costs have skyrocketed. Could geoengineering face the same fate? Scientists warn it offers false hope and risks diverting attention from addressing greenhouse gas pollution. Yet, without research, we'll never know if it could be a lifeline or a disaster. Here's the bottom line. Geoengineering is no silver bullet, but dismissing it outright could be a mistake. As Philip Duffy, former Biden administration science advisor, put it, some amount of overshoot is inevitable, and mitigation alone can't fix this. The climate crisis demands bold thinking, but also caution. What do you think? Is geoengineering a risky gamble or a necessary tool in our fight against climate change? Let's debate it in the comments.